What's the story behind the time you were that customer who freaked out at a retail or food service worker? Right after I got my first salary, I went to a big electronics store and bought a steering wheel controller. They had only one left of the one I wanted. The exhibit one. Salesman promised it may be okay if I just cleaned it properly. He even gave me 10% off. Yet price still was $198. At home I noticed it was broken. When I drove back to the store, scumbag salesman told me would arrange the repair and it would be fixed in about 4 weeks. That was when I went from slightly pissed to purified anger. I told him I wanted to back off from the purchase. Then he told me that the company terms blah blah blah. I didn't remember exactly what he said because I yelled all over the place, "May I please talk to someone who is not about to FCK me from behind on the counter." Double quote. This must have been the magic words since the manager and a bunch of customers came over to see what was going on. And I did get my money back. I still remember what my teacher always said. Sometimes you just have to talk to people. Double quote. My dad can be that customer. A lot. The story that sticks out is when we went to Disney World. It was around 9 PM. Me and my sister should be getting to bed by then. Not to mention we were tired from traveling. My dad goes to check us in and we sit in some chairs. Waiting. And then we hear my dad getting mad. He wasn't yelling. But we could hear him across the room. Giving the checkout lady hell for not having our reservations. Turns out my dad had been scammed by a website that took our money for the hotel and was not affiliated with them. This was in the earlier days of the internet. So scams were easier to fall for. So my dad, swearing away, pays for our hotel again. No. There's no justice porn here. The hotel didn't deserve the sheet they got. And my dad got scammed. Damned if he didn't pay again anyway to make sure his daughters still got to have fun at Disney. I love him. Even if he has a temper. Went to a love hotel with my girlfriend after we drinking with a group of friends in Kichijuji in Tokyo. They told me they accepted credit card. So I put my card in and chose a room. Card was kept by the machine and the woman working the counter wouldn't help. I speak a little Japanese, however my girlfriend is fluent, so I asked her to talk to the woman. She said that it wasn't her problem and we would have to come back tomorrow. Obviously I was not going to leave my card there. Even if it was Japan. So I told her I needed my card. I was calm at this point even if I was slurring my words a bit. But she became a total bitch. I lost my sheet after trying to work through it peacefully for 15 minutes. Called her a cunt. Gave her the finger, said she rude sheet in Japanese. Pretty rough stuff. After that I said FCKU and called the police. They had my card back in 5 minutes. Told her she was a cunt once more, then went to the next hotel. I pre-ordered Injustice 2 with all the characters from GameStop. I was late picking it up, so they sold my copy to someone else. So they just gave me the regular copy, but I already paid for the full price one with all the characters. They didn't reimburse me or anything. I then told the employee so if I wanted to buy the regular Injustice 2 right now, how much would it be? He said regular price. Then I said, so how come I'm getting the regular copy of Injustice 2 but for a higher price? Because I pre-ordered it and was late, so some guy pays full price without pre-ordering and you basically get free money from me paying full price for a copy of a game I'm not even getting? Then the employee was like, sorry. Dude, there isn't anything I can do. I then told him, I'm sorry. Dude. I'm not mad at you, it's bullshit. GameStop fucking sucks. Not you. My bad for getting angry. But seriously. FCK GameStop. Dude. I took my old car to get some new tires on it and wound up waiting almost an hour while the clerk was talking to some girl. Not a customer. Just his friend. Finally dude decides to talk to me and is a condescending fuckwit to me. Begrudgingly I leave my car there. Because dickhead or not, I still needed tires. I'm quoted 45 minutes to an hour. Finally get a call to pick up my car nearly 3 hours later. I show up and you could smell my clutch fucking melting from 20 paces. And they somehow managed to completely snap my shifter, the FCK, in half right above the pivot point. These shitbags took my car out and hot-rodded the absolute hell out of it. It was literally undrivable. I had to tow it home. They didn't pay 1 red cent towards the repairs. Normally I don't complain about shit. But those yokels got the wrath on that day. Anyway. The clutch somehow survived and I replaced the broken shifter with a nice aftermarket short shifter. Which was a blast to row through. I miss that car. Today I went to dinner with a friend. It's one of those order and then they call your number places. Also keep in mind the place is usually out the door busy. When we got there it was basically empty but they had full staff. My friend ordered pasta and I ordered a salad. We sat down and the line started to form out the door but it was moving and things were going smoothly in the kitchen. My friend got his pasta and about 5 minutes go by and I still don't have a salad. I'm watching the kitchen and the cook in charge of salads doesn't look busy at all so I go up to check. There was a rude customer that pushed me out of the way when I was walking up to ask where my food was so I got pissed off. I finally get to go up there and see that the cook in charge of salads is laughing with his co-workers and fucking around on his phones. So I go up to the cashier, can you tell your guys to make my salad instead of fucking around? I ordered 15 minutes ago. My friend's almost done eating. They scrambled to find my ticket for the order, offered me a soda and apologized a bunch. I said no, it's fine, please just make my salad. I felt bad for going off on them because they probably just lost my ticket. But it really pissed me off to see them just fucking around when I'm here wondering why it's taking so long. Sat down at a restaurant at the world's most inconvenient table. Square with 4 chairs. One was pushed up about a foot from the bar and the bar patrons. They were practically sitting on the table. I sit across from my partner. Shortly a waitress comes and asks me to move adjacent to my partner, as my chair is impeding the ability for others to go to the bar. So I move. Then we wait a long time to be served. Get our food and I take my first mouthful when an employee comes over and says that I need to move seats because my chair is blocking the path they use to deliver food. This happened once more before I finished my food. I lost my shit. I just wanted to eat. This happened at my bank. Went in to change my rent money from 20s to 100s so making a money order would be easier to count. I tell the lady behind the desk what I'm doing. And she happily agrees to help me. In 20s. I count out about $1,000 to her. Putting the money down and counting out loud. She then takes the cash, gets the hundreds, and counts back $900 to me. I tell her there's $100 missing, and she claims I only counted $900 to her. She already put the 20s I gave her in her drawer, so there was no way to see what I counted to her. I argued with her for about 10 minutes until she told me they were about to close and to come back tomorrow to speak to a manager. I was so shocked this lady was so stupid that I just told her to quit her job while she's ahead and walked out. Thankfully I had an extra $100 in birthday money. But FCK that lady. Never went back to that exact location. It was in Munich, Germany about 15 years ago. I was on a train and a conductor comes around to check for tickets. I give him my ticket. And immediately he starts explaining something about how I hadn't paid and he was gonna write me a fine. I was like, what the fuck? You literally have the ticket that I bought in your hand. Are you crazy? Double quote. He keeps explaining I didn't pay and so he needs to give me a fine. I keep getting more and more irate at this obvious idiot. How could he possibly say that? I point to him that the value I paid for the ticket is on the fucking thing. And start mentioning insinuating is he doing this to all tourists? To scam them? Fucking asshole. By this time we've reached the next station and he gestures to me while getting off the train with my ticket and sticks it in a machine on the platform that goes catching. And he gives it back to me. Now. You've paid. Oh. I'm not proud of this one but I was on a 9-day stretch of going in at 7 AM to work and stopped at Starbucks for a coffee and a bagel since that would be my food intake till like 1. When coverage got to my department, so I go in. Order and wait. Get coffee. Wait. Wait more. Gonna be late if I keep waiting. So I mention it to the person I made the order with and they got shitty with me saying I didn't order a bagel. I showed her the receipt she gave me and she just made a harumph sound and started making it. 3 more people got their orders before I got my bagel. I mention it again and the lady practically throws it at me. So in a fit of spite I've never felt since I turned to leave and go, oh and by the way, someone spilled something and tossed my venti cold press on the ground. The whole place goes silent and the lady, who was the manager, apparently just looks at me with pure hate in her eyes. I didn't break my stride leaving. Happened 2 weeks ago at McDonald's. I haven't liked fresh onions or mustard since I was a kid and literally can't say or think of a cheeseburger without saying no onions, no mustard. So I go through the drive-thru and ask for a quarter pounder meal, no onions, no mustard. I get it and it has both. I go inside and the manager is talking to her older white dude about his order. I can tell she has an attitude and I figure this dude just pissed her off and now I'm walking into a shitstorm. Either way they finish up and a young black couple orders from her and I see no attitude, so I'm relieved. There was also an older black lady in front of me with a problem too. No attitude and the problem was fixed quickly. It's my turn now. I tell her I ordered it with no onions and no mustard and it has both. She pulls up the receipt and says with the shittiest attitude that it only says no onions. I said well that would still be wrong and I ordered it without mustard also. She has it remade and as she is handing it to me she holds the burger firmly while I'm trying to take it from her and just shy of yelling asks, is this burger not supposed to have anything else? I snatched the burger from her to check it and lo and behold the burger has onions. At this point I'm pissed off not only at her but also at myself because I know I'm about to lose it and I'm not proud. I grab this burger by each bun and smear it all over the counter yelling, I said no motherfucking onions, you minimum wage cunt. I'm not proud, but after seeing her be racist towards white people and me, Mexican, on top of me being tired after a 14-hour day and her treating me the way she did, I was done. Sirius XM. We got a new truck in February that had Sirius. Our Mustang didn't, and we were making a huge long distance trip, so I figured I'd activate our free trial, 3 months, so we could use it for the trip. Everything went fine. Cool. Then the trial ended and we couldn't afford to renew it. Yay baby expenses. No problems from the phone call. About 3 weeks ago I got a phone call. Had to explain to the broad about 5 times I do not have the money to pay for it. I won't have it that week, the next payday, or even the pay period after that. It took me explaining that 4 times. But she finally got it. 2 fucking days later I had another lady call me and try again. I lost it. Told them to stop fucking calling me and if I was going to renew it I'd renew it online. I hung up on her too. I was so pissed because they called during nap time and almost woke my 6-month-old up. I worked in retail for 5 years while I was in college, so I usually have understanding and patience, but this pissed me off. The holiday season. Stores are much more busy than usual. This manager had 1 register open while it was clear they had at least 7 people in the department wandering the floor. It's 15 minutes to closing and the line was packed and not moving. We had all been waiting a good 20 minutes, so we all attempted to leave at a decent time before the store closed. The manager comes up, assesses the line, at least 25 more transactions to go, and decides he wants to close all the other tills early. Then they turned the lights off. At least 30 customers standing in the line in the dark. I let him have it. And left. You don't make your customers who are stuck in the poorly managed line stand in a nearly pitch black department store for half an hour. Not me. But my mom. My parents took the family dog in for a vet checkup since she was getting on in her age. I think she was about 10 or 11 at the time. They had to drop her off at the office and go run some errands. And the vet said that they would call when the appointment was finished. Fast forward to my parents picking up our dog. And the vet had removed 4 bad teeth from the dog. And was charging my parents $400 for the procedure. My mom was fucking livid. They hadn't called ahead to clear the procedure at all and just expected my parents to take the dog and pay. My dad had to calm mom down from yelling and threatening lawyers. The vet backed off pretty quickly once legal action was brought into the picture. They lowered the price to the standard checkup for $90. My parents switched to a new vet real fast after that. Last year while at college, my parents sent me my medication I use to help me sleep. Well, the package got lost for about a week and a half to 2 weeks. They also sent me another medication a few days later, which arrived before the first package. I called the P.O.S. that handled mail for the campus. I was living in a dorm, and after calling day after day, I was fed up and just ended up yelling at one of the post office worker even though I knew it wasn't his fault. My medication did finally arrive just out of sheer luck. The package got lost at a sorting facility just off campus. Came home after Christmas to find my Bell satellite was out. Called customer service and the lady said I would have to call back when the fraud department was in. A couple of days later I called them and they said they had a program that had determined that I was watching Bell illegally. I started throwing a fit and ended up talking to someone higher up who I don't think was supposed to take my phone call. He was so adamant that the program was 100% right. I let more than a few swear words and hung up. I ended up calling back later after I calmed down. I used logic and ended up getting things back on. A year later Rogers came into my area and I jumped at the chance to switch. Never been back since. I heard through a co-worker that his aunt got one of the technicians to admit the program was flawed and it nabbed innocent people. A few months after the switch someone phoned from Bell asking me to switch back and I got the feeling she already knew it was a lost cause. Went through the drive-thru for a McDonald's, which is always a mistake. Ordered a McRib that had just become available again. Got my bag. Didn't check it until I got home. The saucy meat patty was on the bottom. Then the top half of the bun was in the middle. And the bottom half of the bun was on the top. They literally could not figure out how to put the meat between the two slices of bread. Hell. The slices of bread were even backwards, so it's not even like they got lazy and threw the meat and bun in there without thinking. They clearly took the bread apart and still got it wrong. I was at a food truck and it took 45 minutes to make my damn sandwich and give me tater tots because they forgot to put my receipt up on the upcoming orders section. I'm not proud of it. But I threw a bit of a shit fit on the folks making the food. It wasn't their fault. They weren't the ones that took the order. But I had gone from hungry to hangry and wanted my fucking food. God help me, I said let me speak to your manager and ripped her sheet until I got a gift card for free food and also an extra soda. I just wanted my Sammy. It was good food. But I'm not gonna go back there because I'm embarrassed about my behavior and losing my cool on folks who didn't deserve it. I'm pregnant. And I hate tomatoes. We have a convenience store that's pretty big in Texas that has a little grill type restaurant inside. We have one in my town that I go to at least 3 times a week. They have chicken fajita meat mixed with onions, bell peppers, and cooked tomatoes. It's great minus the tomatoes. I order chicken quesadillas with no tomatoes for breakfast all the time because it keeps me full until lunch. All but one person I've dealt with all across the state makes the food without issue. This one lady always gives me issues over the stupid tomatoes. So I go in one morning at 6 AM on my way to work and order my quesadilla with no tomatoes. I'm nauseated. I'm hungry. I just want my damn breakfast. This BTCH starts arguing with me about it being their policy not to remove the tomatoes. I tell her she's literally the only person in the whole 3/4 of Texas that this chain covers that refuses to take the tomatoes out. She then keeps arguing with me and running her mouth. I have enough and ask for corporate's number and the manager. She keeps running her mouth. I then pop off for her to shut her fucking mouth and make my damn breakfast. Then tell the manager all I want is my food made the way I order it without having to deal with this asshole. I don't even regret it. Wasn't food or retail but my old doctor's office. I wanted to talk to my doctor about changing the dose of one of medications. I was having a ton of issues with the practice already and I was 3 weeks off meds because I was out of refills and they weren't sending my prescription in. First time I called that day I was on hold for 15 minutes then hung up on. Second time I was on hold for half an hour before being hung up on. So the third time when I got the "Hello. 1 moment please. I just started screaming into the phone. Not even saying words, just Then I started yelling that I had been hung up on and was done with the practice. She tried to apologize until I started just yelling again. Told her I didn't want to hear the sound of her voice and to go to my file. Get my medical record and mail it to me, or I would come down in person and start screaming at her in person. 2 days later my record was in my mailbox. I also know the CEO of the medical network the office was under. Surprise surprise, when a few months later they were under very heavy scrutiny. I wasn't the only one to complain to the network about this practice. 1 doctor and 3 receptionists were let go because it was found they were not sending in patients' prescriptions. Don't get between someone and their SSRIs, they will either do bad things to themselves or FCK your life up. I felt like treating myself one day and decided to go to Starbucks. The drive-thru was long, so I went inside where there were only 3 or 4 people in line. By the time it was my turn to place the order, about 5 more people showed up behind me. I watched the guy prep my drink, then put it in the blender and walk away to prep more drinks. It sat there long enough that he had to throw it out and make another one. Same thing happened. Prep the drink, put in the blender, walked away, then dumped it. This happened 4 times to the point where everyone that was behind me got their drinks and were out the door. The 4th time he dumped it, I lost it. I get that it was busy, but come on. You'd think after the first time he had to throw it away he would be more aware. But he was too busy flirting with his co-worker to give a damn. I yelled at him, called him mean names, and demanded to see the manager. Just so happens the manager was the girl he was flirting with. Seriously, lady? You watched him waste 4 drinks and didn't say a word about it? You watched me degrade your employee and waited until I asked for the manager before speaking up? FCKU. Give me money back. Not my proudest moment, but damn. I was pissed. Maybe others will disagree that I was in the right here, but I was pretty pissed. I ordered a few pizzas and a garlic sticks from Pizza Hut, knowing that it should have been like $45 because Pizza Hut usually has some deals for X amount of pizzas, but I didn't specifically check this Pizza Hut. When I got there to pick it up they said it was $98. I told the cashier that must be wrong, it's not nearly enough food to be $98, not saying anything about the deal. She says no, that's how much it is. The cashier next to her asks under her breath if she applied the deal, and my cashier said no. I loudly said yeah. Of course I do, it's half the price. In what world would I not take the deal? Why was it not just applied immediately? Well, it's our policy to not apply deals unless the customer asks. At this point I ask for the manager and lay into her about how absurd a policy that is, and how even though I didn't ask for the deal, when I asked why it was so expensive they told me the price was right, and even though they knew about the deal did not really even offer it. Well, that is our policy. I turned around and yelled to the people in line behind me, by the way, if anyone ordered food and didn't use a deal you should fucking ask, because they won't. Double quote. My family went on a vacation with another family that my parents had become friends with at church. Turns out they were the kind of people that customer service oriented employees tell horror stories about. Everywhere we went we were that customer. For example, at a Denny's their father accidentally got the wrong order, and instead of pointing it out to the waiter, because it was obviously a mistake, he threw it on the floor and started screaming at the waiter. We ended up ditching them right then because my parents couldn't stand to be associated with them while they treated everyone like crap. I ordered a number 1 meal at McDonald's, which comes with a Big Mac, fries, and a drink, which was about $6.79. Then I see a second charge under it that said medium drink $1. 49 inches. So I asked what the extra charge for the medium drink was, and the cashier told me that was the charge for the drink and the meal. That the drinks were charged separately. Normally, I would shake my head and walk away angry. But that day I wasn't having it. I went crazy and told her the meal included the drink and the damn price. She kept on arguing with me. I raised hell. I never understood those crazy McDonald's customer videos until that day. Canceling my contract with Orange was a nightmare. My contract was coming to an end, so I asked them to close the account and send me a pay-as-you-go SIM, as I no longer wanted a contract. This was all fine and they agreed. My SIM was sent out to me and I started using it. About 5 months later I get a letter through the post asking why I haven't been paying my phone bill and stating that I owed them about $150. So I call them up, explain the mix up, and they're adamant that my contract is still valid, despite me having paperwork that stated it had ended 5 months ago. The woman on the phone was incredibly rude, suggesting that I'd forgotten to pay my bill. Why the FCK would I be paying monthly when you've sent out and I'm using a pay-as-you-go SIM? I also asked why they'd waited 5 months until I owed you $150 to request this. Why not chase me once I'd missed one payment? It all seemed like a ploy. Wait 5 months till she owes enough and probably doesn't have any paperwork, then tell her she owes us this money. After being transferred to various departments and being told I need to pay, I did lose my temper and told them if they wanted the money to take me to court and hung up. They sent a few snotty letters for about a month or two after and I never heard anything else of it. I had damaged my screen protector second day after getting my new phone. Popped into Verizon to see if they could just get me a replacement. It wasn't noticeable damage, but it was a new phone, so I wanted it looking nice for a couple of weeks at least. So I go in and show the manager the screen protector. I tell him it wasn't put on right. It wasn't. And I tell him I have a receipt from the other day. He then proceeds to check to see if it's on correctly, lifting up the damaged side and cracking the screen protector all over as I stand there as disbelief and tell him, well, now you broke it, can you replace it? This fucker then has the audacity to tell me, well, the company we get them from has a replacement policy and you'll have to go through them. I tell him he's got the same one stocked over there and he broke my screen, and he says, well, it was already broken when you came in and we can't confirm if you did it or not. I just took my phone in a fit of rage, gave everyone the finger and shouted fuck you a few times. Didn't make me feel any better. I didn't yell at the waitress, but I did something incredibly shitty. We dined and dashed. But in our defense, we were ready to pay. We were trying to get this girl's attention for 20 minutes, not exaggerating. It was literally 20 minutes. She was just sitting on her phone, ignoring us. We tried to walk up to her and let her know we were ready to pay, and she walked away. So after all that, we decided if she wasn't interested in getting our money, then we'd leave. I felt shitty about it. Still do. But come on. She didn't have any other customers besides us and another table or two. And they weren't needing anything. All she had to do was take the money and give us our change. Not me, but me dad. Though I would have reacted the same way. We had a Sky package that was about $60 a month. It ran over my mum's name, and after she has passed, my father called them to inform them of that fact and to use his account further to get the money. They then charged my mom's account and my dad's for the month and called to tell us we now had to sign up for another 24-month contract, which included having a setup fee and having to buy yet another receiver. At that point he just lost it. If they had told us, sorry, we can't just change the name of the customer, you have to make a new subscription, then okay. Fine. Not perfect, but that's what it is. But cancelling the subscription, charging us twice and then demanding even more money for BS reasons was just too much. He shouted them down, got the money back and kept their stupid receivers. That company is a joke. I hope they'll go broke eventually. I was eating at a nice restaurant. The food was quite expensive, but apparently it was worth it. It was only lunch, so we decided to get something light. I ordered a ham and cheese panini and some chips. When it arrived, I noticed a clump of blonde hair on the panini. I'm really not fussy. If there's a hair, I'll usually just remove it. But this was a full clump of hair that had been cooked into the panini. When the waiter walked by, I pointed it out to him. He insisted it was just cheese. I politely asked him to make a new one. A few minutes later he came back and apologized for the inconvenience. Amazingly, they had just flipped the panini over so the hair was hidden. I then became what I hate the most, the guy that asks to speak to the manager. The manager came over and I explained the situation. She said she would make me a fresh one. But I requested a new meal so I know they wouldn't just try to hide it again. The waiter then came over with my new meal, which was a chicken sandwich. I cut it open to see pure pink meat. This whole time my friend was struggling to eat her meal because of how burnt it was. At this point we've both just left the food on the table and walked out. The waiter tried to stop us, but the manager just let us go.